Okay, so we thought about Buddhism as a worldview, and we could see how its most fundamental doctrine is unlivable. Now we're going to think about atheism. You know, many people who are atheists, atheism is a worldview. There is no God, we're here by accident, etc., they would say. And they say that there is only naturalism, there is only the natural world. And so they're big on science. Now, I love science, but I believe there's more to it than what science can discover. But they say there's only the natural world. Now that means this. If there is only the natural world, we have no real spirit or soul or anything like that. We're just physical creatures. And the idea of a spirit or a soul, really that just comes from chemical reactions in our brain. That's all it is. Now here's the problem with atheism as a worldview. Here's where it becomes incoherent and inconsistent and completely unlivable. If atheism is true, it means that the choices that we make are determined by our genes and by chemical reactions going off in our brains. It means this: ultimately there is no freedom. You cannot go against the chemical reactions that are deciding for you prior to you making the decision, essentially. Now, if that is true, it also means that science, for example, cannot be relied on to be true ever. Even, no matter how good the tests are, the thing is, the brains that are doing the testing and the research are not free to examine evidence. It's just chemical reactions happening in the brain so that they come to a certain conclusion. And it's nothing more than that. Everything ultimately is kind of predetermined. The only reason we can't predict it is because it's too complicated. But that doesn't mean to say it's not predictable, at least theoretically. So there's no freedom. Now, if there's no freedom, and it's just like plonk, plonk, fizz when you drop a couple of tablets in a glass of water and they start reacting and they fizz up. If that's all we are, ultimately, then it means that none of us are responsible for our actions either. We cannot help the things that we do. If we're not responsible for our actions, then murderers are not responsible for murdering. They're just doing, their minds are just reacting chemically and leading them to do those things. We can't say they've done anything wrong because they're just reactions. They're murdering someone. They're not doing anything any more wrong than dropping a couple of tablets in a glass of water and seeing them react. That's all it is, ultimately. And yet, we cannot live with that. No atheist can live with that. So we have judicial law systems, and every atheist agrees that a person should be held responsible for their actions. Yet that is completely inconsistent and incoherent with atheism. Atheism cannot be lived according to its own doctrines. It's unlivable. As a world view, it's incoherent. In the next one, we're going to think about Islam.